Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. So today I have a very exciting casual little announcement for you guys. I am actually going to be co-hosting Romance-A-THON this year with some wonderful creators who I will list out and link down below. But last year in Romance-A-THON 2020, that was actually the first readathon I ever participated in. Ever in my life. My YouTube channel was only a month old, and to come full circle a year later and be able to host it, that just like makes my heart so happy. So thank you so much to Jacqueline especially for reaching out to me and asking me to be one of the hosts this year. I really appreciate it. And the other hosts alongside myself and Jacqueline are Gwen, Jessie, Deja, Sarah, Bintu, Kiana, and Beth. So I know that's a ton of creators. They're all of varying levels of audience, of content. So I really encourage you to go check everybody's channel out, follow them on Bookstagram, do all those things, because seriously, all these people are gonna be amazing hosts, and I'm so excited to co-host with everybody. So Romance-A-THON this year is gonna be happening June 12th through the 18th. So there are 7 days of this readathon, and there are also 7 prompts. Don't freak out and think you have to read one book for each prompt and you're gonna be reading a book a day. No. We can double, triple, quadruple up on prompts, honey. It'll be completely fine. And if you're worried that you're not gonna have books that fit into all the prompts, we're actually gonna be doing a recommendation live show on Jacqueline's channel. I think it's gonna be May 31st, and my birthday is actually the next day, June 1st. My family and friends go all out for my birthday. I usually have events going on a few days before and a few days after my birthday, so I'm not sure if I will be able to make it or I might be late. But if you want my recommendations, feel free to DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is always linked down below, or just ask for recommendations down in the comments and I will give them to you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the prompts. The first prompt is to read a romance book with a cover that you love. Pretty self-explanatory. Prompt number 2 is to read a romance by a BIPOC author. So if you're not familiar with that term, it just means Black, Indigenous, or a person of color. The author has to fit into one of those categories, and I think that's really cool that we are embracing diversity in this readathon and picking up romances from a wide variety of authors. Also, if you haven't read Eve Brown yet, it's one of my favorite romances that I've read this year, and obviously Talia Hibbert, the author of the Brown Sisters trilogy, is a Black woman, so just saying. Prompt number 3 is to read a romance book that's out of your comfort zone. So this could be something like a trope you don't usually like, or a subgenre of romance that you've been afraid to get into. Maybe you want to read a dark romance, a mafia romance, something that's out of your comfort zone. Maybe you've never read a male-male romance before, or a female-female romance, and this could be the time to give it a try. The next prompt is to read an indie romance. Now, I didn't know what this was at first, but basically it just means that the book is published by the author independently or by a small publishing house. So not one of the big main publishing houses like Simon & Schuster, William Morrow, Penguin, Random House, any of that. The next prompt is to read from your favorite romance author's backlist. So backlist just means any book published before 2021. Prompt number 6 is to read a book from a new to you author. And prompt number 7 is to read a romance with hate to love. So this doesn't necessarily have to be like hate to love. It could be mild dislike to love, enemies to lovers, general dislike to friends to lovers, second first impressions by Sally Thorne. You know, anything like that. These prompts are not very strict. Anything that you want to stretch to fit into these prompts, feel free to do it. It's very casual. I don't want anyone stressed out about the prompts. This is going to be a fun time. It's strictly for fun. And the buddy read for the readathon is going to be Someday by Emma Scott. Here she is. Now, this book is not a part of my TBR at the moment because I think I'm gonna DNF it. I have DNF'd every single male-male romance I've ever read, other than Red, White, and Royal Blue. I do not like reading from a man's point of view. I do not like smut scenes that focus on men. I don't like men. I don't like reading about men unless it's in the context of a man falling in love with a woman and hyping her up and thinking she's the best, or a man like pleasuring a woman. Other than that, I don't want to hear about a man's inner world. I'm so sorry. So this is not incorporated into my TBR because I just know that I'm gonna DNF it and I want to be able to complete all the prompts. So if I end up getting to it and not DNFing it, that'll be great for me, but make sure to incorporate it into your TBR if you don't have that problem like I do, so we can all discuss it together. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get into my TBR for Romance-A-Thon. I'm gonna be looking kind of up here at my laptop because we actually have a story graph challenge for Romance-A-Thon. So it's really cool. I will link it down below. You can just click on the challenge, click join the challenge if you have a story graph account. If you don't, you can definitely make one because Goodreads is trash compared to Storygraph. Anyway, you click join the challenge and then it lists out each prompt, and you can add a book either from your want to read shelf, from your own shelf, from your currently reading shelf, whatever shelf you want, you can add books into those prompts. So it's a really cool way to kind of organize your readathon TBR, keep track of what books are counting for what prompts and all of that. So I'm just gonna run through each prompt and tell you which book that I picked. So for the first prompt, which is to read a book with a cover that you love and to read a romance by a new to you author, I'm going to be reading The Dating Plan. Now, I actually have the physical copy of this, but one of my friends is borrowing it right now, so I don't have it here with me, but I plan to read it physically. And this follows a woman who's got her entire life together, honey. She's living, she's in her career, she has a home, she's successful, but her parents don't see her as like a very established woman because she isn't married or engaged. So I think she gets fake engaged to her best friend. So not only is it like friends to lovers, but it's also fake dating / fake engagement, and I love that trope. Also, I have never read this author before, so it fits for the new to me author prompt. For the BIPOC author prompt, I am going to be reading Ties That Tether, and I am so freaking excited to read this book. It's been on my TBR for a long time. I've heard great things about it from Chanel Time, and I'm just so excited to get into this. It follows a Nigerian woman who made a promise to her dad that she would marry a Nigerian man, but she falls in love with a white man. So it's not only about their romance and about our main character's kind of inner struggle with that, but also it brings in the family dynamics, the cultural dynamics. I think this is going to be so much more than a romance. I'm really highly anticipating giving this a super high rating. For the out of your comfort zone prompt and the indie romance prompt, I'm reading 1,000 Boy Kisses, and I actually have this one on audio as well. Apparently, this is like the most emotional romance ever. It's gonna make you cry, it's gonna make you sob, and that is definitely out of my comfort zone. I don't often read those emotional romances. Usually the romance books that are supposed to make you cry, I don't cry at, like All Your Perfects, Ugly Love, anything like that. That is like branded as an emotional romance, I do not cry at them. So I'm wondering if this is actually going to affect me in that way. And the romance I do end up crying at is like rom-coms, Talia Hibbert, I don't know. It's maybe ties back to my coping mechanisms. Who knows? She uses humor to cope, and when it all comes crashing down and it's like actually real emotions underneath, it hits a little hard. So anyway, 1,000 Boy Kisses is about this guy, and I think he like studies abroad or something. And when he comes back, his like BFF girl next door kind of person who he feels like, it says in the description, is half of his soul, she completely cuts him off and he is heartbroken. He can't figure out why. And I'm pretty sure like there was some miscommunication and she thought that he was like dating someone else and she was in love with him, and they're eventually gonna like solve it and it's gonna be emotional. And I'm scared, but I'm ready. For prompt number 5, reading a backlist title from my favorite romance author, I'm gonna read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book is actually in the mail on the way to me currently as we speak. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favorite authors, period, but The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Maybe in Another Life are two of my very favorite romances ever. I think The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like, it can't even be defined as like a romance. Like, it just transcends all genres. It's chef's kiss, phenomenal, amazing. So I'm going to be reading One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid for this prompt. So this follows our main characters. They are a newlywed couple, which I love that. I love it for her. I love that for me. I love that for everyone. And they're like high school sweethearts. They are like the ultimate couple goals. They're super cute together, and they go on an anniversary trip. Her husband takes a helicopter ride and ends up going missing. Obviously, she's heartbroken, but a couple of years later, she ends up moving on and falling in love with somebody new. Obviously, she's not forgetting about her missing husband, who is presumed dead at this point, but she's just, you know, moving on, having a new love, whatever, and then he ends up coming back. So she kind of has to make this decision between her old love that she's already mourned and grieved and her new love, and which is her one true love. Like, this sounds a lot like Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and if it's anything like that, I know that I'll love it. And the last book on my TBR for the hate to love trope prompt is Fight or Flight. I also have the audio of this book, and I love listening to romances on audio. I think they're just like so light and fluffy and fun, and I like putting them on when I'm like cooking, when I'm working out, whatever. It just makes whatever I'm doing feel like like fun. I don't know. So I'm super excited to listen to all this audio, but obviously Fight or Flight, you can tell by the title, it is a hate to love romance. It takes place in the UK, which you guys know I love, and I think it follows a flight attendant and a businessman who like flies frequently, who she's always running into, and she doesn't really like that much until they have a steamy encounter on the plane. And then I think it's like friends with benefits. So I think it's like enemies to friends with benefits to lovers kind of situation. I don't know. I've heard really good things about this, and the Storygraph rating is really high. So I'm thinking this is gonna be good. I usually like hate to love, and yeah, that is my complete TBR, not including Someday, which if I have room at the end of my TBR, I will read that just so I can discuss it with the group, but I'm really not anticipating finishing it or liking it. So that is my complete TBR and all the readathon information. I will have it all linked below, all the hosts, all the Storygraph stuff, everything. And if you want any personalized recommendations from me, again, reach out to me on Instagram or leave it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this announcement, and I hope you guys will participate with us, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.